I loved how when he said that Stree Rog Vibhag 1, Uday 0. You know, everything was in the script from day one.
All in the script.
All was in the script. Both of us, me and Ayushmann, had very different ways of speaking than we do in normal life. You know, Uday was talking in proper Bhopali accent. Ishq is one of my all-time favorites. I still remember that Ram scene, you know, on the rope. We had to take 4-5 days of gynaec sessions to understand the tools. How is a vacuum pump used? How do you hold the scissors? वैसे कैंची की तरह नहीं पकड़ते हैं, they hold it differently. Hi guys, I'm Rakul and you're watching me on Bollywood Hungama.
Rakul, welcome to Bollywood Hungama once again.
Thank you so much. Once again.
Always happy to interview you. And this is one of your busiest times, if I'm not wrong.
In Hindi, yes.
Yeah, in Hindi, yes.
Yeah, in Hindi. But I've had years where I've had 5 releases. 3 consecutive years I had 4 to 5 releases in a year in Telugu. When I began.
Wow. So, but this is Hindi. This is a market that you're in now.
Yeah.
Firstly, I want to ask you, is this ever planned that, these 2 films will come so close to each other?
No, not at all. They were shot one after the other. I remember I finished shooting Dr. G and then I joined Thank God. But it just so happened that it's releasing like this, and that's never in the actor's hand.
Right.
So that's individual production house deciding when it seems best for them, depending on the release date. So that's not something which is in our control. So obviously wasn't planned.
Right. That's what people should know, that you may do one film now and you all may shoot 2 or 3 together. Eventually, when these films come out and where they come out, also like little can the actor do about it.
Nothing. We can't decide the medium. We can't decide. Why I'm saying medium today, that whether it's going to be an OTT release
or which OTT.
Of course, there's a slight say and discussion, but the final call always remains with the producers.
Right.
And even the timeline, and especially in today's time, actors' hands, and pre-pandemic especially, things are so uncertain that nobody knows. Ideally, Dr. G would have come earlier, but then the 3rd lockdown had happened. So too many factors, right? And the post-production work also becomes slower. There are too many things that become dependable on that. So yeah, anyways.
So you shot these during the lockdown, after the lockdown, between the lockdown?
In between the lockdown. On and off through the lockdown.
Right.
These I shot last year.
Wow.
So I shot July, August, September for Dr. G.
Right.
Largely August, September, and October for Thank God. And then I moved to Chhatri.
Nice. These are both very interesting films. Did they check all the boxes for you? Co-stars who are good actors, good directors, producers who will make sure that they release well. These are all the check boxes done for both?
So, this is... It's a very tough question to answer all the time, that whether every box of yours gets checked or not. And I'm being very honest here. Sometimes there's because you choose from what you get, sometimes you really want to work with an actor. Sometimes you really love the script and you're like, I want to do this script no matter what. Sometimes you want to work in a certain setup, where the producers are big, this film's going to be big, the actors are big, and you don't necessarily really fish out for the best role, but you know that it's a big film. So sometimes you look for tentpole films, sometimes you look for your character, sometimes it's just the script. So it's a permutation combination at all points. And I just, at that particular point when I read that script, what am I feeling? That keeps changing also with the kind of releases that are happening. Now, if I'm doing a certain genre, then if I'm reading something, then I'm like, acha, abhi to main ye kar rahi hu. So possibly my next, I might get inclined towards something else. So it keeps genre-wise or role-wise. So it always keeps changing. And what my gut says at that point, I like to just go with that.
What was your big decision when you said yes to Dr. G?
I think Dr. G was one of those scripts, Rohit. I'm telling you, when I read the script, when I heard the narration, Anubhuti was there, and midway through the script, midway through the film, I knew I wanted to do this. Because I just loved the writing. I just loved how this man was not the strongest actually.
Right.
portrayed that way, but comes out to be strong through the film.
Yeah.
You know, that it was beautiful coming of age of this man,
Right.
and treated with humor. I loved how when he said that Stri Rog Vibhag 1, Uday 0. You know,
Yeah,
everything was in the script
Oh,
from
that
day
was
one.
all in the script.
All was
Okay.
in the script.
That was not added to jazz it up or
No,
something.
no. It was a part of the script. So there were these, you know, what do you call, milestones in the film that the character is sort of crossing. So I loved it. And midway through the narration, I knew that I was doing this film.
Right.
So when they finished, I said, I'm doing this.
You know, can you tell us something about Anubhuti, the director? We've not heard much about her. I've never interviewed her. What is she like? She came with this wonderful story, of course. What is she like?
She is a perfectionist.
Okay.
She is very detailed about the nuances, about small things. Like, for example, both of us, me and Ayushman, had very different ways of speaking than we do in normal life. You know, Uday was talking in proper Bhopali accent. Fatima was talking in very Saaf Hindi.
Right.
So if you noticed things like galat,
Yeah.
it wasn't galat. You know, tumhari, not tumari. The way we, so everything, so the way Lucknow ke Muslims speak, it was very chaba ke. So that we had diction classes. So small things she was very particular about. Even the look, even the way she wanted the characters to react. And the best part about her was she never sat on set. The first director I've seen who doesn't sit, she would always be standing.
Doing something.
No, like she didn't even have a sitting monitor. There was just that, you know, the smaller monitor, you just keep that and that's it. She would be standing like this, okay. So sometimes you wouldn't even know where she is. But really good at what, very clear in her head.
Nice, nice. She's made a beautiful film. You know, it's also such an important film, like such a casual thing to talk about a male gynaec. It is such an important subject that, you know, that in the everything, like from the trailer, the first scene where the guy is beating him up and saying, "Meri wife ko kaise touch kiya?"
Correct.
It is like, you know, did you ever give this a thought, the thought of a male gynaec?
You know, surprisingly, when I was a teenager, there was a point that I had to go to a gynaec and turned out to be male. You know, I didn't know till I reached the hospital. So army hospital mein bhi yahi hota hai that who's on duty at that time. But luckily my mom was with me, but I remember I was, I think, 15, 16 years old and I felt, arey, male, you know, like I felt shy. But then of course I was okay. And I don't know when over the years that changed. I don't remember significantly when that changed, but that's not a thought. You know, I have visited a male gynaec after that. But when I read this script, I realized, you know, you sort of realize that, it's actually the truth and we are the educated ones. And if we don't differentiate between other parts of our body, why does the uterus have to be left aside? Actually, that's the whole reason of why life comes into play. So we've made it such a taboo over the years, and which is not. It's a normal organ like any other organ. So if you have a problem, you're going to say, give me the best doctor irrespective of the gender.
Absolutely. That should be
the case. And that's what the film is highlighting, that a doctor is a doctor and the credibility doesn't depend on the gender.
Right. When you went to a doctor and then the minute you found out male gynaec, was there any hesitancy in going?
Yes, that's what I said. So I felt shy.
You felt shy.
Like I was like inside you get that little nervous,
natural,
you know. But my mom was with me, so I was okay. And when I read the script after so many years, like after like so many years, like I think I was in school then. Then I remembered the incident. I don't think I even remembered it. And I can't even pinpoint when that changed. But you know, when you grow, you evolve, you sort of see the world. But we are very few who sort of have had that exposure where we have a rational mind in making that decision of going to any doctor. The doctor should be good. But which is what the film highlights, that, you know, and especially it's a government hospital that we've shown.
Whoever's on shift.
So those people don't know, like the masses don't know, and and these are troubles. In fact, I'll tell you, I went for a special screening visit of doctors. There were about 200 doctors. And it was a special visit, surprise visit. So I asked them, I said, what was the best part about the movie? And one of them said, I said, you know, I love that you've highlighted the unfair things that happen to doctors, the beating that really happens.
Totally, I'm sure.
You know, and I was like, okay, so I'm glad they picked up on the nuances that we wanted to show in the film.
Right. And that it's such a simple line where Shefali's character casually says, ki, just lose the male touch. It's such a casually said, it's such an
Yeah.
important line. What does that mean to you?
I think it's very important, and I think every girl will understand what is a male touch and what is a doctor touch. It's just that we need to start having that conversation of what is a good touch or a bad touch, and I think it needs to start from school.
Right.
Somehow we have the sex education classes,
Yeah.
but it's not solid enough, or it's not serious enough. I remember back in the day when I was in school, we had a person specialist come and talk, and sab karte rehte, everybody, all of us do.
True.
So the endeavor from the school's end is to sort of educate us, but the society or the way it is or whatever it is, the dialogue not at home, why were the kids giggling? There's definitely something wrong that we were all giggling. That today as individuals we feel, what's there to giggle? They're just giving us information and knowledge. And I think that needs to start from school level. That needs to happen. So everyone is aware of what is a good touch and a bad touch, and what is a doctor touch. And when a doctor is operating on whether it's your brain or your breast or your uterus, it doesn't make a difference.
He has to just cure.
I think I was delivered by a male doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
When y'all were shooting this film, there were some really nice scenes of you ragging junior doctors, like Ayushman's character, who's just come in. Firstly, he's a male and he's junior. You're saying "spank me." Did you meet other doctors? Did you speak to college students or people?
No, I think that homework was done by the team already. When the script came to us, Anubhuti had already been talking to a lot of doctors, and there was a doctor on set.
Okay. There's a doctor on set.
Yeah, there was a gynaec on set, because a lot of it was inside the OT, and sometimes even if it's not in the OT, there are delivery patients, if we had to suddenly pick up a tool, because you really don't design a scene. You'll only know when you reach the location, how are you really planning to do it? Do I want to really remove my gloves a certain way? How do you do the checkup? Even the way you press and check, when I check Kavya's stomach, or how do you check dilatation? So there's a certain way to check dilatation. So everything, we had a gynaec on set. I had gynaec sessions. We had to take 4-5 days of gynaec sessions to understand the tools. How is a vacuum pump used? How do you hold the scissors? वैसे कैंची की तरह नहीं पकड़ते हैं, they hold it differently. So all those things,
Right. Also, could you tell us what was it like to work with Ayushman? What kind of an actor? Every actor is different. What kind of an actor is he?
He's an amazing person, first to begin with, and he brings such positive energy on set. Happy person who wants to work. He's just very positive, and I think when you have your co-star who's ready to give their 200%, who's enjoying the process, right? Then it's a fun journey.
Right.
You can just tell, aise kare, let's do this. I'm planning to improvise. I had this idea, or he can tell me his idea, and it's just fun. Then you don't feel the pressure that you're working.
Right.
And I think that's amazing, and it's very easy to break ice with Ayushman like that.
Right. And then you moved on to Thank God. What is where you play a cop?
Yeah.
What was that like, jumping in from a doctor to a cop?
Wasn't really very difficult, because I just had to cut myself off, because it's not a complete out and out cop film. It's not like a thriller or a cop film. It's actually an entertaining film. So besides the fact that I had to get back to the way Rakul talks, than Dr. Fatima.
Right.
Yeah, I think, and just be conscious of the body language, because the doctor walks differently. And when I'm in uniform as a cop, I have to walk differently. When I'm not in uniform, it's okay. But when you're in uniform, you sort of have a different gait.
There must be a big difference between direction of Anubhuti and direction of Indra Kumar.
Oh yeah. oh wow. Yeah.
What is the biggest difference that you observe?
I think both genres are so different.
Genres also different.
Genre in a way that, one is a film that is actually, both are giving a message.
Okay.
But one is a more realistic way of dialogue delivery or conversation. It flows at its own pace. And the other is completely Indra Kumar sir style.
Yeah.
Where he understands the masses. I truly believe, and I think I told this in your other interview also, that he's been working for generations.
Yeah,
and I don't
he's
think,
worked with everyone.
for 30 years he's been making
And he's
films.
made some really good comedy movies like Ishq and so
Ishq.
many. Yeah,
Ishq is one of my all-time
It
favorite.
is.
I still remember that Ram Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram
ram,
Ram
ram,
Ram
ram,
Ram
on
Ram
the
scene,
rope. Yeah.
on the rope. So he's seen, and I think he understands the audiences way better than anybody today.
Yeah.
And they say na ki you should be grounded to the roots to
Right,
understand.
right.
So I think he understands the pulse of the audiences. So sometimes you might feel that while doing his kind of comedy, that is this too much?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, is it hamming?
Right.
But he knows it.
He knows it, right.
And like for example, the joke in the trailer, the last joke in the trailer, Shobha kyun gali deti hai? You know, the way people have cracked up.
Right.
You can't imagine that will translate like that.
Yeah. He is a very different director. And then you moved to also Siddharth, who's such a different co-actor from
Absolutely.
Ayushmann. What was that difference? Like, what is Siddharth like?
But Sid is also very similar, very grounded. But this is my third film with Sid.
Yes.
So I've known him for a while, and he's also someone who's, but he's much calmer.
Okay.
In terms of like, I would
Yeah.
crack a lot of Punjabi jokes with Ayushmann. You know,
Okay.
the Chandigarh vibe,
Right.
and my mom's from Chandigarh,
Okay.
and we're both Punjabis, like a little loud that way sometimes when we want to be.
Right, when you want to be.
And Sid
And
is
Sid
slightly
also, you
more,
can crack your Punjabi jokes with
no,
Delhi
Sid is a
jokes.
little more calmer on set.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Sid is a little more calmer, but again, very hardworking, very grounded, very sweet boy.
Right. Amazing. So you have these, they've come close to each other. We are really happy you have entertained us. I thoroughly enjoyed Dr. G. Can't wait to watch. Thank God.
you.
So all the best.
Hi guys, I'm Rakul and you're watching me on Bollywood Hungama.